This is Nah, but for real.
Nah, but for real. What up, y'all? I'm Dave.
I'm Jazzy.
And welcome to your new, not so new podcast anymore. No, but for real.
Hey.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing
up?
today? Welcome to the show.
10th episode.
Welcome. Is this episode 10?
I don't know, but
I think we had 10
we might
episodes.
be at double digits now.
I think we had 10 episodes. Happy 10 episodes.
Happy 10 episodes.
Episode number 10.
Double digits.
Like I said, welcome to the show. No, but for real is a podcast, a show about everything and nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
But we also talk about real life stuff. We just two people. We ain't experts at. I was about to say anything, but that's not true.
Right.
We're not experts at this thing called life. We trying to get through it the same way everybody else is trying to get through it.
Absolutely.
With that being said, shout out to the people that's rocking with us every week.
Absolutely.
Our real ones. Shout out to the Patreon.
For
$5 a
sure.
month. You can get all exclusive stuff. You can get episodes early and all the things.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, let's get started.
Let's get this thing started.
We have to start off getting personal.
Let's get personal, people.
Transparency. Have you ever dated multiple people at the same time? Do you think it's okay for people to do so? Why or why not?
Have I dated multiple women at the same time? The answer is no. Reason being, I don't like people.
Oh my God.
So, like handling multiple women at one time, it's too much for me. It's like I just no. I don't want to do that. And I don't find any joy in handling multiple personalities at one time.
That makes
It's
sense.
just I can't do it.
I mean, that's logical to me.
Now, what was the second part? Do I think it's wrong for other people to do it? I don't think it's wrong. I think if you are open and intentional about if that's what you want.
Okay.
So it's like,
So meaning
If
every party knows.
yeah, like
Okay.
everybody, like, listen, I'm just having my options open. It ain't nothing that serious. Like, have that conversation so there's no, like, expectation of, like, oh, after one date, we're serious.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
guess
think
that was
that's cool.
that was gonna be like my follow-up question, because like, what is dating anyway? Like, what do you even define as dating?
I think dating is when you put your best foot forward to impress somebody else.
Really? That's a
Yes.
very interesting definition.
Yes.
Is that what you do when you date?
Um,
You're trying to impress the person?
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, you're trying to get to know this person, but you're also trying to impress this person at the
Okay.
same time that you find attractive. At the same time, like there's a difference between dating and courting.
I knew you was gonna
someone.
say that. What's the difference?
So courtship is more intimate. Like you are in more intimate settings. I'm courting you to a more long-term thing, aka marriage.
Is it kind of like pursuing? Is that?
I think the pursuit is more intentional.
Yeah.
In courtship, in dating, it's just like you're putting your best foot forward. I think in courtship, you see the different sides of this person, the good and the bad, and you still choose this person every day.
Okay.
But yeah, with
So
dating,
courting, it implies that you've chosen somebody,
yeah,
whereas dating is kind of
dating is
like,
like,
I ain't chose you yet. I'm trying to
yeah,
decide.
I'm trying to decide like what
That's
I want
good,
to do.
Dave. I like that. I love that.
What about you?
Have I dated multiple people at a time? Yes, I have.
Ooh, you've been in these streets. You've been in these streets.
Oh my God. I gotta keep it 100. But I mean, it happens on accident. I feel like, especially with women. I mean, I know men, it's easy for y'all to date multiple people at a time, but I just feel like,
Why you gotta say it like that? No. I'm
well, I don't know. Maybe it's not a gender thing, but like I said, I just feel like it happens on accident. Like, you don't know how you haven't gotten serious with a person yet, and then somebody else comes along and they ask you out,
Mm-hmm.
you go out to eat. Like, you know, you don't think that deep into it. So that's the furthest extent I've been actually dating multiple people at a time, is not really being
Yeah.
serious with anybody and then getting asked out by somebody that I'm interested in having a conversation with. I don't know where it's going to go after that. But okay, I want to have an intimate conversation with you about life. You seem like a cool person. Let's go.
Right.
But you know, I might have been on a date with somebody else last week, and I don't condone that. You know, at the end of the day, like, I consider myself to be like extremely a monogamous person.
Yeah.
And that's why I said that I liked your definitions, because like courtship and choosing, like, that's what my intentions would always be. Like, eventually I'm going to choose somebody.
Right.
I'm not trying to just date around just to date and get free meals and, you know, just kind of like live a single life. Like, I think I see that all the time, where it's like, oh, your single life, just date whoever you want to date. And I don't feel like singleness is supposed to be about that. Like, I
Mm-mm.
feel like singleness is supposed to actually be singleness. I don't feel like it's supposed to be an opportunity to be out here dating multiple people and having all these energies
I think
around you.
I think singleness is the opportunity not to just date other people, date yourself.
Yes.
Like, take yourself out on a date. See what you like, see
Absolutely.
what you don't like, what moves you, what doesn't move you,
Right.
what triggers you, what doesn't trigger you. Like, get to know you.
Learning to be
So-
alone, for sure.
So that way, it's not really even about being alone. It's really about being okay with you.
Yeah.
Like, being good with you. That way, you're not your identity is not lost in somebody else's pursuit of you.
Right.
That was good. Go. Dave, you talking good already. But yeah, that's definitely gonna be a clip.
You're so annoying.
But I think you should date yourself.
Yeah.
That way, like I said, nobody else can tell you what you like.
Yeah.
Nobody else can tell you what you should do and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's nothing, and I want to say too, there's nothing wrong with being single. Like, being single is not like some toxic or bad thing. Like I said, it's a beautiful time to get to know you
Yeah.
and get to know things that you want to do with your life, things like that. That way, you're not waiting on nobody else to tell you who you are.
Yeah. Because for sure, I think the same thing about singleness, like dating yourself is very important, and not having the influence of someone else all the time. You know, I'm always going to be a hopeless romantic. I'm always going to want relationships and love and all of that. But at the same time, I do thank God for my solitude and just being able to be
Yeah.
happy with myself, and or even not happy with myself, just going through life and emotions and all of that by myself. And it's not really by yourself per se, because you got to have good people around you, you know, no matter romantic or not. But
Right.
yes, like I said, I think singleness is a blessing. And I think it can prepare you for relationships.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I just think that's interesting, though, like singleness, actually being single and dating yourself and, you know, being alone can prepare you for relationships better than being out here dating and figuring things out with other
Yes.
people. That's interesting.
Let me
Because I feel
'cause
like people do the opposite, but
one of the things, I'm not going to say to men, I would say to a man who knows who he is, the most attractive thing to that man is being with a woman who knows who she is.
yeah,
Like,
a confident woman.
confident woman, a woman who feels like she doesn't have to compete with you in life,
Yeah,
you know, because she knows who she is. She knows what her dreams and goals are. I don't have to pump and prime you and push you to go after what you want. That's not, for me, that's not what I want or wanted or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just, know who you are
yeah.
at the end of the day.
And you're not going to know who you are if you're constantly around someone else. You're constantly having conversations with someone else. You're constantly giving your energy to somebody else. It's like you
Right.
don't have anything left for yourself.
You really
Ever.
don't.
So that's one of the reasons why I was going to say I don't think you should ever date multiple people. I don't really think it's a need for it unless you're trying to, unless you're not looking for a serious relationship, or unless you want to be polygamous, you know. But
Right.
if you're trying to be monogamous, it really doesn't make sense to date multiple people, in my opinion. So that's just the answer to the second question.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if she
That was a
got?
great question.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
a
a
great
great
question.
question because
I
you
love it.
know we got the Lori Harveys going on, and they just praising her
Mm-mm.
and praising her and praising her.
No.
I just don't.
I'm cool.
I
We-
just can't.
I'm telling you,
All right. So
there's
what we
some
talking about
there's some
today?
things that I know that I know about people.
It's things that you know about people.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like I'll put it this way. I just know people, and I know people who have dated some of these people out here.
Wait,
And
what?
when I tell you, like these celebrities and stuff,
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
when I tell you some of them stories, whoo,
I
was
bet.
I'm just saying, don't let social media fool y'all, bro. Like, don't let the highlight reel of somebody's life make you think it's all
'Cause it's
everything you
not.
want.
It's
'Cause
a highlight reel. That's really
not.
what it is.
It's really not. Because what y'all think y'all want out these streets, y'all really don't. Like when they say it's pee in the dating pool, the stuff I heard, I'm like, it's more than pee.
And that's the thing too, like dating from social media. I refuse. How do you feel
Yeah.
about that? Like I refuse to date somebody that I've met on social media. I refuse.
Ever since catfish became a thing, no.
Yeah, because it's like
No.
you're gonna have to catch me outside. Like I need to discern you, and I
No.
don't think I can discern you over the computer. Like I just
No.
don't feel comfortable with that. Like, oh, let's go on a date. Like I've never seen you outside of this place.
You ever heard of that show, 90 Day Fiance? Before
I
the
think
90
you
days?
told me about that, or somebody told me about that.
There was this man who was on this dating site talking to another woman in another country.
Hmm.
He spent over, I want to say
He got catfish.
500
I'm sorry to
No,
jump
no, no,
ahead.
no.
Oh, okay.
$500,000 trying to talk to this woman on the internet. Like he would fly to wherever she was from, I think in like somewhere close to Russia or whatever, and she would stand him up.
She would stand him up like it happened multiple times.
Yes. And
I'm a little lost.
so they would talk on the internet.
Like I get what happened, but how do you fly out more than once and somebody stood you up one time? I don't understand.
But he was convinced that this woman was real, and we all were convinced that this woman is not real.
Was she real or was she wasn't? Let's cut to it.
She was real.
Oh my
She was
god.
absolutely real.
Did he find her and
Yeah, he found her,
they
but she
fall in love?
ended up playing him
Oh my god. Clearly, she
And
started
he's-
off that way.
because he was on some website where you have to pay to talk to somebody else or something like that. And I'm like, in the
wait,
world of social media, I'm
Right.
not paying to talk to nobody.
And isn't
Ever.
there like a whole like dating portion of Facebook? That's nuts.
I think so. It
I
might
think
be.
I seen that.
I
and
think
was
I
like,
saw that somewhere.
What the heck? That's
No.
nuts.
That's
But
crazy.
you know, there's people that think like, I mean, it's no different than meeting somebody in person because they can be deceived. They can deceive you. I've always said that's like my worst fear in life is being deceived. But yeah, I
'Cause
guess it's
people
not a
crazy.
difference. But I just feel like I don't know. I think energies speak. I think like me being in your presence that speaks more than just you being on the internet. Like I
telling
can't.
you.
There's no energy being transformed here or transferred. It's
'Cause,
just
They saying I'm serious. When you around somebody, pay attention to what's not being said.
right.
Because people can talk all day long,
Yeah.
but you got to watch their patterns and watch how they move. It's just like
Yeah.
I hear you, but my spirit is vexed every time I'm around you, and I
Yeah.
just can't do it.
And you can just see when
Can't
somebody
do
is
it.
just kind of like cap, I would say, like just insecure. Like I see it all the time. Just bartending. Like you could just kind of tell when people are like real, they
Yeah.
really are who they are, and then
Yeah.
people who are just pretending out here.
Yeah,
So that's what I love about face-to-face interaction is that, you know, sometimes you can just tell when people are just full of it. And you can't really do that when you're just texting or writing on social media. So,
true.
yeah.
All right,
All
let's keep it
right.
real.
Let's go. So, trauma part 2, guys. We're going to talk about coping and healing today. And I just want to say, well, first I want to talk about coping. I used to have this negative idea of coping. I used to think that prior to and this is like just a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, me thinking this, I just got a new idea of coping. I used to think of it as like the opposite of trying to be healthy, like just doing what makes you feel good in the moment and not really dealing with anything. But through my research, I'm starting to realize that coping could be a good thing. Obviously, coping can be a bad thing too, but it can also be a good thing. So I just wanted to share that I don't know if there's anyone else that think that have this idea of coping, like, yeah, you're just coping, you're not really dealing with anything. But at the same time, certain coping methods can be a stepping stone to your healing. I don't know if you had any feelings about that. Like, how do you feel about coping?
Everybody copes different. And
Well, of
so
course.
I think I think depending on what your method of coping is will determine how well you heal.
And then the definition says any conscious or unconscious adaptation that decreases tension or anxiety in a stressful experience or situation. That's not necessarily implying that it's bad. If it's something that's decreasing tension and anxiety in a stressful situation, it can actually be a good thing. I don't know. I think sometimes when I think of coping, I think like drugs and alcohol. Like, oh, I'm going to drink to get rid of this, or I'm going to drink. And it's not really dealing with anything. But coping could be going for a walk after a heated argument that wasn't quite, maybe the heated argument didn't quite come to a conclusion. It didn't quite get dealt with.
Yes.
But you're walking away and going for a walk and just kind of like resetting your mind, that could help the argument. That can help you come back to the argument with a better mind and help you deal with it. So that's why that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I used to think that coping was just strictly not dealing with it. It's the opposite of healing. It's something that you're just not supposed to do.
Right.
But now I'm starting to realize coping is necessary. It's the way you control it. It's the way you do it. And it could very well be a stepping stone to healing. So I just wanted to talk about that because, again, that was a revelation for me in my studies. I'm like, you know what? That's true. Like, and it's crazy because that used to be the worst thing for me. Like, if I'm in a heated argument with my man or something and he walks away, oh my God, like toxicity comes out. Like, I can't handle that. I can't handle it at all. I can't handle someone just, I don't know even how to explain it.
Ladies, I'm
I
gonna
be
let y'all know
wanting to get
now.
it together right now.
I
Let's
know,
get it together now.
And I know you want to fix it now. But if that man walks away, he's not walking away from you. He is walking away from what could happen if he does not walk away.
Right.
And it's never you. It's never you.
And even if it is you.
And right, even if it is you, give me a minute to
Yeah.
calm down.
Right.
Because if I don't, I'm going to say something.
Right.
And it's going to take away from the situation to now that I've said this particular thing.
Right.
To piss you off.
Right.
And I know I'm pissing you off because I want to.
For sure.
So before I get to that moment, let me calm down.
For sure.
And get me together.
For sure.
And please, if I walk away, don't come walking after me. Just don't do it.
And you see, and you know why? That just gave me a little aha moment, because that me having this revelation, like, oh, coping is actually a good thing. Like, it can be. I'm not saying it's always a good thing. It can be. Me knowing that now I see it differently. Like, now it's like me running after you, that's obviously harming you, trying to make the situation better.
Yeah.
And you know, the way I used to think was like, I'm trying to make sure we heal. I'm trying to make sure we get there, But really, I'm doing the opposite. It's so
Yes.
crazy to actually get understanding. Like understanding is such a blessing. Like because you handle things so much differently when you understand like okay, coping makes sense. So it doesn't make sense to interfere with someone coping when it makes sense. It makes sense that that's what they're doing. It makes sense to diffuse the situation. It makes sense
Especially if you're the person that I need to cope from.
yeah.
Do not come after me. I'm serious.
But I think they come after you because they don't they think that you're what is that called? Yeah, we talked about it last episode. Disassociating. They think it's a
Yeah.
negative connotation to that. Like, oh, you're not trying to deal with this. Like, I know that's how I looked at it. My ex used to do it all the time, almost every
Right.
argument. You know, every argument he shut down. He's just shut down. I used to be so pissed. Like, why can't we just talk and get it together? Like, what is it?
And sometimes, and I think I said this either last episode, couple episodes ago, we're trying to say what we want to say without offending you. We don't want to make it worse. However, my emotions are getting in the way of me communicating how I
Yeah.
really feel. So what I really want to tell you is shut the hell up and get out of my face because you're getting on my nerves. But that's not going to solve anything.
For sure.
It's going to make it worse. So before I let my emotions dictate how this is going to go, let me calm down and let me think logically. Because I think what most people, actually everybody does this, we allow our emotional responses later on make us have to go back and apologize for something that had nothing to do with the situation anyway. And so what I don't want to do is have to come back and apologize again for saying something that I shouldn't have said.
Right. It's creating more and more problems. Like, you know, something is wrong in the relationship or in the argument or with you personally or whatever when a argument about one thing turns into an argument about another thing. And then it turns into an argument about another thing. And it just keeps being this battle instead of it being a collective coming together, collaboration, team effort. Let's fix this. It's
Right.
like a battle. Like, I'm against you, you against me.
And once you start to do that, because women do this a lot,
What we do, Dave?
y'all like compartmentalize a lot of stuff.
Really? I feel like men
Like
do that.
y'all download it and you lock it in. And when that moment comes and it starts from one issue to
Yeah.
like a whole list of everything. And then to him,
Like, where we get here?
at some point, we are confused.
yeah.
I thought we were
Yeah,
here.
right.
But somehow we got to here.
and it
and
makes
now
sense in our head. It really does.
I am very much confused. So I'm going to walk away.
We feel like we're connecting dots. We're
No.
building a case against you, which is
And-
a problem, right?
And that is a huge problem because we ain't in court.
we are not in court. I know.
You ain't the judge. You ain't a lawyer.
We really feel like we are, though.
Right. And that's the problem.
Evidence.
And I'm like, no,
For sure, for sure. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about coping. So, I have a question. Do you think that people know when they are coping? Do you think, like, every coping method there is out there, people know when they're doing it? Like, I know that I'm trying to not feel this or not do this, so I'm going to do this.
That's an interesting question. I'm gonna say yes and no, because I think habits can turn into coping mechanisms.
Habits can turn into coping.
So let's say, you like a good drink every now and then, right? At some point, that if you go through something detrimental, that can turn into a problem.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware, a drink every now and then turns into a drink every day.
Yeah.
And so if you are unaware of that, you know, then I can see where you you don't know
Yeah. I
that
think you
this has become a
absolutely,
thing, and then
absolutely don't know.
you use your
All the
habit
time.
as an excuse. Well, I've always been drinking. Yeah, but you ain't always been drinking like that,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so I think it can go both ways. Like I think some people are aware. Um, they know what they're doing is you doing the breathing thing again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's cool. Um,
I'm not even clogged up though, so I guess I'm just like really close to the mic. Maybe I should move it a little
actually tilt the mic down.
bit. Okay.
That's what it's not in your nose. Um, but no, no, it's cool. I think some people do know that they're coping in a certain way. Like this is something you're not supposed to be doing, or this is something that's actually making you unhealthier
Mhm.
rather than putting you in a place of healing. Um, but then there are people, like you said, who go on walks and they do that to cope with, you know, it's been a long day,
Yeah.
tough day at work. Let me go on a walk,
Yeah.
because I know that's what helps me feel better.
Yeah.
I communicate better after I've decompressed
Yeah.
after a hard thing. So yeah, I think it can go both ways. What about you?
I think so. I'm pretty much want to say the same thing. I think people know when they're coping when it's a healthy habit.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
because it's kind of like it sucks to think about it this way, but it's almost like in order to be healthy, you have to be extremely intentional. Like you're just not healthy on accident, unfortunately.
true.
You know, so I think when it comes to coping and knowing that you're coping, it only really happens when you're being healthy because you're being intentional about it.
Right.
Um,
That's good.
I feel like people don't know when they're coping when they're doing the other stuff, the things that is not making them healthy. And I know people know that they're not getting vitamin C from alcohol. But at the same time, because it's like in that case, it's like, yeah,
No, you're not.
yeah, like
That was
it's
funny.
not healthy. But do you know that you're trying to numb a pain? Do you
Right.
know that you're trying to? Because I'm in that moment in real time, asking myself, what is the feeling? What feeling am I getting from alcohol or any other type of
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. I
And
had that thought too.
and why am I chasing after that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But I think, before I started getting into introspection mode and really trying to change for the better and grow for the better, I wasn't asking myself that.
Right.
So I don't think I knew that I was coping with anything. Or maybe I did subconsciously, but it wasn't in the forefront. Like, oh, I need to stop doing this because of this. Like, I think it takes some really intentional thought to kind of know that you're coping in a bad way.
Right.
So I just thought that was an interesting question to bring up because
No, that's
we
good.
could talk about coping all day, but if you don't know you're coping, I mean, that's another problem within itself.
And that's why I think it's important to, you know, take a step back and look at your life for a minute. So you are aware of, you know, like what's different about my life? Like why do I keep going back to this thing? Because if you're not, like I said, if you're not careful, your coping mechanism can become an addiction. So for like we said with drinking, it's like, why am I drinking every day? Like what or why? Now I know people do this recreationally. This is just my opinion. Why do you need to smoke weed every day? For what?
Right.
Like I know you say it's for fun,
Mm-hmm.
but what is it about the high that
What is
makes
that
you?
feeling you're chasing?
Yeah, like what do you? Why?
Why are
Why
you
do you
chasing that?
need a additional thing to make you feel this like you've come alive or that you can relax?
I can answer that for you.
Please do.
Um, I I was just thinking about myself and thinking about myself, my coping mechanisms, and I just summed it up to being distractions. I feel like that's the way to sum it up. Like I could talk about the things that I do this and that or whatever, but really honestly, all it is distractions. Even with, sometimes I feel like even with men,
Mm-hmm.
anything that distracts me from being in my own sober-minded, raw thoughts, I wanna do. So
Yeah.
so I think that's been, I feel like, the issue that I've been trying to grasp and within myself. It's like, okay, why do you want to be distracted? What is it that you want to be distracted from?
Right.
Um, and I think, obviously that's the first step, right? Is to kind of acknowledging that you want to be distracted. And so I think that that's, how I wanted to answer the question, why do you want to smoke weed every day? Because I want to be distracted. That's why. I
Yeah.
don't want to.
Like you don't want to be here.
It's something to do. It's
It's like
something to do that.
it's your escape.
There we go.
It's your escape. You're
For
you're
sure.
running from something.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
It's so crazy because
Right.
it's such a recreational, peace, love type of drug as far as how it trends. But really,
And some
it's just
people,
an indication that something's going on.
I mean, it's not even drugs. Some people watch TV
Yeah.
to escape. Some
That's what I said.
people-
That's why I wanted to make it distractions.
Right.
And it's, instead of it just being like, oh, you're a weed smoker, that's because something wrong with you. Like, we're not going to stigmatize your coping methods. That's not what I'm trying to
Right.
do today. We're just going to talk about, what does it do for you? And I feel like for me, it distracts me. And in that, like I said, that can be anything.
Or it's fulfilling something that you think is missing.
For sure.
Like it's a
It's
temporary.
giving you a feeling that you've chasing.
Yeah.
And you think you need this to
It's
get that feeling, but that may not be the case. It shouldn't be the case.
Right.
So I've learned in my research that we cope to feel regulated. We cope to feel regulated because our body is constantly trying to create balance. So there's this idea from this doctor I've been studying named Bruce Perry that basically our brain needs balance. So it's going to constantly always look for balance. And how he identifies balance is regulation, relationship, and reward. So regulation is basically regulating your nervous system, which I thought was interesting, right? Because it's the stuff we already know. Sleep, exercise, breathing. Sometimes I'll be thinking like, I don't breathe normal sometimes. Like sometimes I'll just be doing my makeup and I'll be having to chill out. Like, Jazzy, what's wrong with you? Calm down. Like, breathe. It'll be so weird. Like, it'll just be, or
It's because you always in a rush. Because you always late. No, I'm playing.
that might be true because I be
It
thinking about
might
that
be
too.
true.
Sometimes I get really anxious about being on time, and that anxiety causes me having breathing issues. Like sometimes
Right.
it's been times like I don't know if y'all ever seen that. Did you ever watch The Game? The Game with
Not really. No.
well, it was a scene where she was so annoying. It was a scene where I guess one of the wives of it was about a football team and their wives and all that. And one of the wives of the football players, she was like a house mom or housewife or whatever, but she had to like really serve this football player or whatever. And every little thing that he needed, she had to make sure he had, just because, I mean, she wasn't, bringing anything to the table other than being of service to him, I guess. And, one day she just realized like, dang, I do a lot. And she did. It was so much stuff that she had to do in order to like appease him or whatever. And one day, I guess he asked her to do something extra on top of her normal duties, and she had to make sure she did it. But when she did it, it put her behind on other things that she had to do. And so it got to the point where when she was like about to be on her way out the house, she literally just like fell to the ground and just started crying hysterically.
Mm.
And when I say I have experienced that probably more than once, where I'm just like, and it's not even like, it'll be like normal day-to-day stuff. Like it was normal day-to-day stuff that she was going through.
Right.
It was just this overwhelming, like I need to just, and that's why I think it's dope to kind of like know, like, okay, our body needs to regulate. I mean, we know that, right? We know that we need to breathe, we need to sleep, we need to exercise, but sometimes when you don't do it, your body forces you to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think that that's just an interesting thing because it'll happen. It'll happen out of nowhere. It'll happen in the most random time where you're just like, you've been doing too much. Your body
Yeah.
just tells you like you've been doing too much. You need
And
to
when I
regulate.
tell you, listen to your body, because if you don't sit down somewhere, your body
Your
will
body
be
will
like,
do it.
we sitting down.
Right.
I don't
You're
care.
doing too much.
I don't care what it is that you can love what you do all day, every day, no problem.
For sure.
But if you don't know how to balance that with rest and knowing you need to take some time to just be, don't do anything, it will cause you to collapse. And then you will get burnt out.
Mhm.
I'm telling y'all now, if I didn't take this trip last week, I would have been burnt out.
Mm.
All of this stuff would have been done
Mm.
because I was so tired.
You were overworking yourself?
Yeah, shut up. Um,
I'm just saying.
yeah, absolutely. Um, because me said this before, I will say it again. I don't ask for help.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just, yeah, I just don't ask for help. I'm working on it. It's cool
Just think about that though. You don't ask for help.
because I don't trust people. I don't. It's just,
You not asking for help, I feel like, causes your body to not regulate like it's
Absolutely.
supposed to be.
because there's no balance.
Like, how do you rest if you don't get help?
Right. And help causes you to balance things out.
Yes.
So it's like, or what also helps is saying no.
Yeah, boundaries.
And it's just
Not
like,
being a people pleaser.
I heard this the other day. Oh, and it blessed me. No is a full sentence.
It really is. Don't
No.
need no further explanation.
I don't have to explain to you why.
Right.
It is no. It's just no. Hey, can you do no?
Yeah.
Especially if you ain't paying.
Right.
Oh, don't ask me to do, please.
Okay.
Please.
No, for
And
real.
the quickest way for me to say no is if you tell me you're going to pay me and then you don't.
Okay. 'Cause
No.
listen, we're not about to do that. Contract
No.
me, please.
Trust me. I've been,
Signing the dotted line. We're not about to play with y'all.
I have learned from my mistakes, especially after starting this production company. People will talk a big game. That's the Bible says money answereth all things. And
For
if you
sure.
want a slow yes from me, you better come with that money. Because the days of doing things for free are over.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so over.
Your time is worth it. Your time
Yeah.
is worth money. Like,
Because I'm telling y'all now, bills don't stop.
right.
They don't. They don't care.
Right.
And so, back to what I was talking about. You have to let your body rest.
Or your body gonna do it for you
Or
at
your
the
body-
wrong time.
And the thing is, we usually wait to the worst possible moment or the worst possible thing that happens for us to sit down somewhere. Like, why do you wait till you collapse on the floor for you to get it? Or why do you wait till you sitting in a hospital bed for it to click? I need to chill out. And we see that with everything. Why does it take high blood pressure or having a stroke
Ooh,
or
you know
having
what
a
I
heart
read
attack
about?
for you to learn that you need to probably stop eating the stuff that you eating?
You know what I read about that made me think of that, or made me think of what you just said? And this was something that I learned from Dr. Bruce Perry as well, is he think that comes from how we're kind of taught to be strong all the time.
Yeah.
We're taught that to just have this grit and just be this super
Yeah.
powerful person. And
Yeah.
we think that means just taking on more than what we can bear. Like, we find, I think in a way, we kind of find reward and just doing things that other people can't do, like doing all of this stuff. I'm able to do all of this stuff. Like people
Right.
are praised for that. We are praised for overworking yourself, and
I
I
mean-
think that's kind of where it comes from.
I heard this very, 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 very dumb quote that people hyped up.
What is it?
I'll sleep when I die.
I don't like it.
Let me tell you, if you don't sleep, you will die.
Right.
And you will die a nice early death
Okay.
if you don't take your butt to bed.
I don't get that.
Like, I don't.
I remember Eric Thomas used to talk about that all the time, and
I'm
he
like-
stopped. He kind of deviated from that.
Of course he deviated because he was tired.
Right. Like, I get up
Like-
at 4 a.m. I get up at 3 a.m. Why?
And that's cool if you do that.
If you
but
sleep,
do
you gotta
get
sleep.
enough sleep
Yeah.
to counterbalance that?
Right.
It's kind of like we hyping this thing up. Oh,
I don't
I'm
sleep.
doing my thing.
I don't sleep. I'm
till.
strong.
And it's usually the people who say that are getting the most sleep. It's like you,
So they cap on, they lying.
right? You lying? Like, stop.
You're capitalizing off of what you know other people is trying to do.
Right. And you are using this toxic behavior. That's one thing. Like, I love social media. I do. I think it's great if it's
Me
used
too.
right. But I hate the way we have exalted the stupidity of people who really don't even believe what they say.
Yeah, for sure. I
But
mean,
they're-
that goes
But
on
they're saying
so many
these
categories of
things.
life.
They're saying these things to get clicks and views because
Mhm.
they know, oh, that's right. You know, I can't sleep.
Right.
No, you need to go to bed.
Right. Like, why isn't there any motivational speaker that talks about regulation, that talks about needing sleep, that talks about needing to breathe? There's other aspects of regulation. Being with nature. Being,
Yeah.
people talk about that all the time. Like, we need sunlight. They say, what, in Antarctica or somewhere where there's, like, a lot of, like, darkness, there's not a lot of sunlight, people are depressed. I don't know if that's Antarctica or if that's
That's Alaska, ain't it?
or Alaska. I think that's what it is.
I
Yeah.
say, ain't nobody in Antarctica that long to figure
I
that
guess
out.
you're right. Alaska.
It's too cold for that.
Geography.
I'm pretty sure people are. I'm pretty sure people are in Antarctica doing research and stuff, so they
Yeah.
would probably know.
Yeah, but I think it's Alaska. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And there's
yeah, I
like this
think-
high level of depression over there and stuff
'Cause
like
there's no
that because
sunlight.
there's no sunlight.
But I have that, like, seasonal
depression.
Yeah.
Do you intentionally go out in the sun?
Yeah. If the sun is out, I'm outside.
See, I don't.
Like, if it's gray outside, keep the conversation short.
Why do you think that is? Just the fact, but other than the
I
fact that we
honestly-
need sunlight.
I know it has like a lot to do with like the vitamin D and like
Hmm.
your body absorbing all of that.
I'm just saying for you personally, like, why do you think that you're affected by not having sunlight to the point where you feel down and
Because I have a bright future. No,
you're just such this bright light. You
because
just
I am a
can't.
bright light myself, and if the light ain't out, I'm not out. No,
For sure.
that's so stupid. No, I don't know why I deal with it, or I just know it's a thing. Like if it's raining outside and things like that, my energy's really low, and so what I normally do, they have this thing called light therapy, where you just turn on a bunch of lights and let it shine on you, and that kind of like helps you cope through the whole seasonal depression thing. Another thing that helps me is doing things I love, right?
Yeah.
So like doing music or editing or going out to take some pictures or, getting me to do something that's active, requires movement or something like that. That way I'm not focused on the fact that my energy's low,
Yeah.
things like that. So do things that give me energy and give me life.
But that's
helps
not.
with that.
That's. I'm sorry, but I'm a research person, and I want to research seasonal depression. That makes me want
No,
to
I think we should do an
study it,
episode.
a
Yeah.
seasonal depression.
One of my friends, her name is Dulce Candy Ruiz.
Mhm.
She has a great podcast, huge influencer, and we just connected on social media.
Mhm.
And she suffers from the same thing,
Mm.
seasonal depression. and it's usually between December and like March. No, like April or May, because the winter
Why?
and everything, because that's usually when,
April and May too?
yeah,
Oh, because of the rain.
because of the rain.
Okay.
So,
Hmm. Yeah, that's
spring.
interesting.
So
Now
like
I
the
gotta.
later spring, summer, and fall months, I'm good. I know when winter hits, it's coming at some point.
Yeah,
So,
that's interesting. I
but I think we should do an episode on that. Yeah,
seasonal depression. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know, I'm gonna do my research because I have
Yeah.
to know. Because that it just I don't even think about that. Like I even got that point. That's one of the things I love about being connected to you because you make me think about things like that. Like, do I even have seasonal depression? I might, and I don't even think about it like that. Like, oh, this is seasonal depression, or it's because I don't have light, or it's because I don't
Right.
have sunlight. Like I don't even get that far into my thoughts to even do that. So that's, that's something now.
and it's
That's
a real
homework for
thing.
me.
Like, it's because it's called SAD. I don't know what the A is for, but the S and the D, of course, is for seasonal depression. But it's not a. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means this particular thing that gives you life, helps you move throughout the day. If that thing isn't there, you know, it can just affect you differently.
There's still a deeper why factor that I wanna
Yeah.
find out.
I mean,
for sure.
it's a huge rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah,
Huge.
I'm ready to go down that hole.
Do it. Great.
And so we talk about natural light, nature period, and natural light. So it's not just the sun; it's just nature period. You know, there are people who talk about being one with trees and hugging trees. I don't know if we should go that far or not, but
If that's what you do,
there's
great. No judgment.
there is I guess
I ain't
a
hugging
way
nobody's
to
tree, though.
regulate yourself by being in nature, just
That's-
being outside. Period.
It's great. Wonderful. If that's what you do. I
And
don't like being
then,
outside.
There's this last one, detox, which I added diet, but I just realized that detox is technically diet, right? You're detoxing
Yes.
from harmful substances that you're putting in your body. I don't think we talk about diet enough, as far as when we're talking about coping and healing and trauma. Diet has a lot to do with it. Diet has so much to do with it. Just the substances that you put in your body as far as toxic substances. People always think drugs and alcohol, but McDonald's is a toxic substance as well. And to me, it's kind of weird to see people claim to be on a journey of healing and growing and personal development, and they're not watching what they eat. It's kind of like a
True.
contradiction. Like, I know me. Now, that's one thing that I do know. Like you, it's seasonal, it's the rain, it's the darkness. Me, it is 100% food. When I eat
Yeah.
Wendy's, I have an attitude the next day.
Let me tell you what's crazy. That's part of the seasonal depression
Is it?
because you're trying to find something to fulfill the fact that there's no sunlight, right? So my go-to, same thing as you, especially during the winter time and all that, is food. Like,
Bad food.
and I mean everything bad. Sugar, snacking it up, all the chips, cakes, and I love sweets. So
See, I don't love sweets. I
man.
love potatoes. Like, I just give me all the
Man,
potatoes with cheese.
give me all
Sour
the
cream.
sweets. And I'll eat a whole, it ain't even just sweets. I'm a snacker, so give me all the Cheez-Its.
Chips.
Give me all the chips, everything. A meal, what is that? What?
Right?
No.
And then
But
what do you feel like that does to your body, and how do you feel like it affects your mind?
I gain crazy weight.
Well, how about mentally?
And it messes with me mentally too. Like, I know if the thing about it is, I know I shouldn't be doing it, but it's kind of like, man, it's like you just give in. Because there are some days that are harder than others. And you just like, man, F it. Like,
Yeah, there's people that live by a 80-20 rule, right? Like,
yeah.
I am never going to be, and that's the thing too. Like, there's not a stigma on eating bad. I mean, if you want to be healthy, obviously you shouldn't, right? But there is some leeway to that. There is, a lot of people like to say it's all good in moderation. And I think so too. I don't feel
Yeah.
like you can ever eat ice cream. Like, I mean, unless your doctor says like you don't need to touch a ice cream ever again, or it's really something that's harming you physically and all of that, or whatever. But I'm not gonna be that person that never eats ice cream again. Like, I'm just not. I don't
Right.
feel like I'm ever gonna be that person. I'm never gonna get to that point where I'm Dr.
Yeah.
CB times 10, where I'm like,
No.
oh, all the herbs, and like I'm gonna get my herbs. But today I'm going to UDF. Okay, just leave me alone. I want my
telling you.
milkshake. I'll
Like,
get back to my herbs tomorrow.
I am going to Cold Stone. Give me a little nice
Okay.
birthday cake remix.
Okay, like
and
it's
enjoy
just,
it.
It's the it's satisfaction. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with, and I think it's also a reward too. Like if you're the type of person that is healthy all the time, like you can reward yourself with a little.
Have a cheat day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for me, because I went on in January, I went on a no sugar diet for like it started with 14 days, then I did a whole month, lost like 20 pounds.
Yes.
The moment I had sugar again, I was like, oh, this is great. Went down that rabbit hole, gained like 10 more pounds. Like, whoo.
Yes. So obviously you gotta still be, and that's the thing. You gotta be able to handle your cheat
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Because listen, after my jaw surgery, I was just telling my friend, I overdid it, honey. I overdid it. Oh my gosh, I overdid it. And I really wish I wouldn't have. Like even though I don't feel like it did that much physically, because thank God I keep a gym routine.
Right.
But mentally, I was in so many dark places, and I had to keep myself out of dark places. And I had to realize, like, it's the food. It's the food. And that's when I say I overdid it. That's what I mean. Like,
Right.
I know that food is going to change my mood. So I have to be very intentional about what I eat. Even if it's bad, it needs to be a certain portion. It needs to be just once a week. It can't be all the time. It just literally can't be, or I'm not going to have the best attitude.
No.
And it sucks. I think about that all the
It
time,
really
and I
does
be
suck.
salty about that. Like I be seeing people on social media just eating everything, just doing all, and I'm just like, why can't I live this life? I have to be healthy. I have to, or I'm gonna be.
Because
just
they don't really be
moody
living
and-
that life on social media.
Listen, I know people who has never dieted in their life.
And that don't mean they healthy, though.
No, I'm not saying they're healthy. I'm just saying like,
But, like, I get what you're saying.
yeah, I just
Like,
sometimes
I know,
just seeing it like
I know for
just
me,
sucks for me.
like, not eating sugar is because, man, and I just went to the dentist a couple weeks ago. She was like, you need to change your diet. I was like, mind your business.
Okay, I know.
But no, she was saying, because my gums are swollen, things like that. She was like, you got to change your diet if you want your teeth to last long. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Because what you're not going to catch me doing is looking like,
No teeth. Yeah, you only have this
No.
one set of teeth.
if my teeth look like this, something wrong. Okay. You got the
Listen.
5 fingers of death. No. I
really don't.
no,
like
she
it.
told me, but she told me though, she was like, you have to change your diet. Like, and I know not the no sugar thing. It's so hard.
Sugar is the
'Cause-
devil, though. So
but
it's a very good diet.
I
I mean, I
found-
commend you for that.
I found out that, sugar and, things that can turn into sugar is what's blocking the fat from leaving your body. And so, which is how I was
Absolutely.
able to lose 20 pounds without working out, because my
Absolutely.
whole diet just changed.
Absolutely.
And so I'm getting back on it. It's really hard,
Yeah.
really hard.
Yes. Focus on that regulation, sunlight, nature, breathing, sleep, exercise, detoxing, diet. Like that is important for regulation. And I think that it speaks to coping mechanisms. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, if our brain is constantly looking for regulation, it makes sense that we cope. It makes sense that we drink. It makes sense that because our body is trying to feel these things that we should be doing naturally.
Right.
And so another aspect of balance and regulation is relationships, which I thought, obviously, that's, it's not nuts to me, but in a world of I can do it all by myself, in the world of self-love being the everything, that's very important to understand how much we need people. We
We do.
need relationships.
You need the right people.
yes.
You need the right people.
But to be needing the right people implies that you have to be that, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's really what these episodes are about. You know what I'm saying? Is understanding that we need relationships, understanding that we need good people in our life, but understanding that we have a responsibility to attract that or be around that and that be in the control of our environment. So relationships being a part of how your brain, it craves that. That's how it regulates itself, is through all the things we just discussed and accompanied with people,
Yep.
connections with people. I know Dr. Perry has said connectedness counters the pull of addictive behavior. So it's like connecting with someone makes you less prone. I wouldn't say connecting with someone that you should connect with, connecting
Right.
with someone that's helping you grow. That kind of counters you wanting to be addicted to something, you wanting to be distracted, like if you were talking about myself. And I know that for sure because I feel like the more I became connected to you, the
Mhm.
less I wanted to be distracted by things. The more I wanted to kind of like learn about trauma, learn about this, learn about that, learn things about myself. So I know firsthand that is true. That the connections with people kind of counters connections with the right people.
Yeah. And that's how you
Counters
know.
this addictive behaviors and this behavior to self-destruct.
And that's how you know you have the right person or right people around you,
Mm-hmm.
is when they can challenge you to do better.
Right.
If everybody around you, which is why I don't let a lot of people around me, you got to have like special access to me because like I said, don't like people. Number two, I'm very adamant on who I just let around me in general.
You're very self-aware.
And I'm very selective.
Yeah.
So if you're in my life and you have certain access, be thankful.
I
No,
appreciate that.
because I need people around me who are going to support me, but also give me life,
Yeah.
but also pours into me,
Yeah.
because I pour myself into people, into my career. And there are a lot of things I'm involved in that can empty me out, especially because I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
So I need people in my life who are going to pour into me and be like, hey, I see you doing a lot. Have you rested? And challenge me. And I'm going to get attitude. But I appreciate the fact that you see me,
Yeah.
right? And you need people around you who will see you
Yeah.
and see past all the BS, all the walls that you put up, and will call it out and not care about your emotional reaction.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I love you.
Yeah.
Now, if you kick me out of your life because I'm being open and honest with you,
Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to be in your life anyway then.
Yeah.
But those are the people you need in your life that are going to push you to be healthier and push you to be better. If you're not doing that, why are you here? Which is why, I don't understand why a lot of people need a lot of people around them. I don't get that. Why do you need 30-something people around you to feel alive?
Distractions.
Right. And I never understood that. Never. It's kind of just because I know all these people ain't here.
You can't believe that all these people really care about you.
Yeah. There's no way.
It's like crying on social media.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I would never understand it because
you literally,
you know that these people do not care.
it's not even that. You literally push the button.
you press the button.
You press the button.
And just the tears start
And
coming.
then the tears start coming.
Somebody get them an acting role, please. ASAP. Somebody give them.
Hold on. This is what? No.
Woo,
You mean to tell me in your emotional moment, you said, let's pause, hit play, hit
Where do
record.
you think that comes from?
Stupidity.
Attention
No.
seeking? Regulation? Are you attention seeking? Are you trying to?
No, you want attention. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. But
'Cause you
attention
ain't-
could be a coping mechanism.
Because you want you're not getting it from the person you or people you want it from. So you're gonna go to social media and be like, I know I can get it here from somebody.
Right.
And it's just like, you're corny though.
Shut
Like-
up. No stigmas. No stigmas.
Like that is
This is-
so stupid.
It's
Like
really
call
more so
somebody.
understanding why you do it. Because I'm sure there's people that do it and don't think it's anything, like they don't see it being like attention seeking, or they don't see it because they're not really self-aware, and they're not really in a full understanding of what coping is and how it could be coping. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like, and that's why I wanted to, have that question early. Do you think people know when they're coping? And I don't, especially the bad things, the things that gives you a negative response or whatever. People aren't really aware that they're coping. They may be aware that they're doing something that's not healthy for them, but I don't know if they're aware that they're trying to distract themselves from who they really are, or
Yeah.
vice versa.
Yeah.
So another aspect of regulation, this is the last one, is reward. And I think that's kind of tied in with relationships. Like, I feel like the affirmation from people, like I want affirmation from other people. I want to feel validated from other people. Yes, I feel validated with myself, but I love when someone else validates me. And I think that, I don't know, that maybe we're somehow trying to get away from that in an aspect, like, oh, I just want to love myself, and I don't care whoever loves me. Like, I'm not really
That's
trying
not
to be
true.
like that. I want to
Yeah.
be the type of person that needs love from a husband. Yes, I'm going to have love for myself as well. That's how I'm going to get the love from my husband. Let's not get it twisted. You need both, right? But like I said, the whole reward thing, I think it kind of comes from people, or it comes from, like I said, like you said, having people in your life that pours into you. That's like some reward, it's like
Yeah.
kind of a reward of having a person in your life, somebody that makes you better or helps you become better. Like, that's rewarding to actually become better. And having that relationship that kind of link you to that better person. So that, and I think it's interesting in itself that we need reward, that our brain, in order to feel regulated, reward is a part of that. And
Yeah.
that makes sense too when it comes to intention seeking and, all the coping things that we do, because we want to feel rewarded. We want to feel validated, maybe going about
Yeah.
it the wrong way. But we don't know that we're going about it the wrong way. Sometimes it just takes that self-awareness and that understanding to understand,
Right.
like, okay, I am asking for attention because of this. I'm not getting it from this person, or I never got it from my parents, or whatever it may be. That's what was dope about the research for me, is understanding, like, okay, I do need these things. So, like how we talked about in the last episode, I think it's comforting to have this neurological perspective of our trauma and our life, because for me, it gives me some sort of comfort. Like, I'm doing exactly what I should be doing as far as my brain is concerned. My brain is trying to regulate me, and it's supposed to do that. I'm just not understanding exactly what it's doing, so I'm doing the wrong things, but
Right.
I'm really trying to do the right things, if I'm making sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even if you're a weed smoker, it's really your body, your brain trying to regulate things, but you just need to find a different way to regulate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think but if you don't know that you're trying to regulate, you're not going to think like that. So I think
I think the
that's
reward
what's important.
the reward thing is important. Just know what type of reward makes you feel validated.
Yeah.
Like, words of affirmation does not work on me. It really doesn't. Like, I accept it,
Mhm.
like, and I appreciate it, but it doesn't make me feel validated.
Okay.
Like, telling me you proud of me, I appreciate it, but that don't do it for me.
Yeah.
Like,
So what makes you feel validated? Because I don't think I ever thought about that. I don't know what makes me feel validated. Trying to think.
Honestly, it's not even something that somebody else can actually support. Makes me feel validated.
Support. I'm trying to look up validation because
Um,
I don't know if I even thought about that yet. Like, what makes you feel validated? That is a very good question.
support makes me feel validated, or backing up what you said
proving
Right.
the validity of accuracy or something.
Yeah.
So
if-
support, yeah, I think that's true.
So like if you tell me, you know, I love your podcast, but you
Yeah.
don't share it.
right.
do you-
How much do you really love it?
Yeah, like okay, show me how much you love it.
Yeah.
Are you telling other people about it?
Yeah.
Like are you that validates me cuz that
Yeah.
lets me know like oh you actually meant what you said.
Yeah.
Um
I think sometimes people are afraid to support people in that way, though. I don't know why. I just think that people, because I don't know. I don't know if I can say the only way you can show support is by doing ABC 1, 2, 3. I don't know if there is a real way to show support, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if there's a right or wrong. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because I had this conversation with my friend, and she was telling me if she was wrong for kind of going off on a friend of hers, because the friend was basically upset about how she was supported. She was supported, but it was just how she was supported.
Well, yeah, like
And she
all
was just
the-
like, that's bizarre. Like, you should just appreciate the minimal support that you're getting because they didn't have to do the minimal part. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
and don't get me wrong, all support is appreciated. However, every piece of support doesn't make a person feel validated.
Okay.
Like, okay,
yeah,
so
we
how
were talking about validation. That makes sense.
how does yes, support is like the umbrella, but under that, what does it look like for you? So, like you asked me, what does support look like? You know,
And you're saying it needs to be actions, it needs to be intentional actions,
Back
it
up-
needs to be
back up what you say.
yeah.
Back up what you say.
If you truly
Goes-
believe in it,
Yeah,
then
like
show you believe in it. Because it's almost like saying you believe in yourself, but you're doing nothing to show that you
Nothing.
believe in yourself.
Right.
That's not believing
like
in yourself.
don't
Being in the mirror saying all these affirmations is cool, but if you're going back to bed after you give them affirmations, you ain't affirming nothing.
because like my thing is this, and I'm gonna go back to this podcast because you know people loving the pod and it's great. Don't tell me it seems like the podcast is doing amazing. Are you listening to it?
right. Yeah,
Are
because you know
you-
people will support through the clips and all of that, but they don't actually
Right.
go watch the episode.
Right.
But just
like
so much more fire in the episode. Come
like
on,
go.
bro.
That's the point of the clip is for you
Right.
to go
watch the episode.
watch the episode.
For
like,
sure.
but
For sure.
don't tell me you think it's doing well. Don't tell me the podcast is great and you not even listening to it. Like, come on, bruh. Like, if you want to support to me, go tell people about it. Go actually listen to it. I'll even take feedback
hmm
because that lets me know you listen to it.
So what about you on a personal level? So you feeling validated just on a personal level. This doesn't have anything to do with your business.
On a personal level,
So what does support look like?
support for me. Honestly, let me be me. Like, I'm not, especially as an introvert, giving me my time
Yeah.
to like just be,
Yeah.
or respecting the fact that if I say I don't or can't talk about it right now, don't push me
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
So validation seems like for you it's just someone that really understands you.
yeah,
Someone that understands you enough to say, I can tell this person needs this, that you need this, and I'm going to give it to you. Because I think in order for me to, like, if I was to let you be, I'd have to know that you need to be let be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'd have to be intentional about that.
and it's not, and I'm not saying you have to just know that. I will tell you,
Yeah.
but don't play the victim when I do,
Yeah, of course.
because then it's like, all right, you don't get it, you
Yeah.
don't understand me,
Yeah.
or you say stuff like, like if I'm having a seasonal depression moment, you make it about you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I need this from you. I can't give that to you.
Right.
Like I would love to. I don't have it. And
Yeah.
people cannot give what they don't have.
Yeah.
So even if you are requesting it over and over and over, if I can't give it to you, I ain't got it.
Yeah.
It's like give me $20. I don't carry cash, so
Yeah.
can't give it to you in cash.
Right.
Even if I had it digitally,
Yeah.
I'm at why you need it. You know,
And I think there's this negative connotation with that as well, like just somebody that may seem distant or, you know, may need some time or whatever. I think because a lot of us are in a dysregulated state in our brains and in our minds, we can't see that as a good thing because we need the relationship and the reward. So, like you said, we make it about us. Your distance and your needing your time, I have to insert myself into that. I have to
Right.
make sure you understand that I need this and I need to understand why you're being distant or I need and it's like that's one thing that I'm learning right now is to kind of like let's let people just be.
yeah,
You know, you don't feeling the need to get an explanation out of somebody or get anything out of someone because of what you feel like their behaviors are doing. To me, I think that's a part of you trying to insert yourself into what they're trying to do on their own. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's kind of like, because I struggle with that, letting people be. I struggle with that, but I get it now. I get it why it's important. Like, and I can understand why that would make someone feel validated, especially if they really need that. Giving somebody something that they really need, like, do I need to say more? Obviously that's validation,
right. Like if I have to over explain it,
Right. And I think
I'm-
that's what it be.
I'm
Like
over it.
I feel like I don't need to express my feelings about what you need. You know what I'm saying? If you need it, my feelings, I mean, we could talk about it later. We could talk about it whenever you want to talk about it.
Right.
But it's no reason to have a whole conversation about how I feel about what you need to do for yourself. What is the point of that? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I had to realize that. I had to realize that I am 100% that person.
And it's honestly, it's not anything against you.
right.
If I don't have it, I cannot give it.
Right.
And it's like, however you need to grieve that, grieve it.
But that's
But
why,
you need to accept the fact that if you are in this with me for real and forever, you're not gonna get it.
Right. And that's the importance of this conversation, right? Because our traumas can block that understanding. You know what I'm saying? How we respond to our trauma can block that seeing that as a healthy thing and
Right.
seeing that, because our needs, like I feel like trauma responses is kind of like just being overly needing of things. You know what I'm saying? Like just not having regulation. That's the whole point of the balance and regulation is not if you're too much of this or too much of that, you don't have balance. You're dysregulated. So if you're in a dysregulated state, it makes sense that you're seeing healthy things as not healthy things because you're not getting the regulation that you're trying to get, if
Right.
that makes sense.
it does.
So I have been having so many aha moments with myself studying this stuff because you wouldn't think that studying trauma would bring so many revelations like to yourself. Like, oh my gosh, I am such that person. Like, I'm a little toxic. Like, I be telling people that all the time. Like, I'm a little toxic. People will not admit that, but I will admit that. You know what I'm saying? Because
We all got some toxicity.
yeah, for
We
sure.
are.
But it's just like, especially with stuff like that, like somebody needing a space. Like I do not grant people that. And I'm realizing now why, and now I can look at it differently. And I just think that's powerful. Like I'm
Yeah.
just so excited about that, man. I'm so excited about that understanding. So I have here is self-love enough, but I think we already kind of talked about that. Because we talked about relationships and reward and how it's needed. So, this whole aspect of, self-love, self-love, self-love. Can we be focused on that so much that we don't realize we actually need people? Like,
Right.
So I think we already touched on that. Obviously, we need people. And self-love, I feel like, is a stepping stone to kind of attracting what you need around you. It's not really something that you only need and that you can only depend on. I
Right.
think we should definitely be able to depend on other people. And I don't think it's loving yourself at all, if I can say this, to not need people around you, to not want people around you. That's depriving yourself of love. That's not self-love.
That's
Let's
not
be
self-love
clear.
at all.
So I have fatherlessness culture. I don't know where I was going with that. I guess thinking about how that can cause us being in a dysregulated state, obviously, because we don't. I think we live in a culture of where fatherlessness is a thing, and I think a lot of us women, we put our children in that state on purpose, and we don't realize the traumatic things that we are putting on that child by
Right.
not allowing the father in their life. And I know it's, it could be a trauma response because you grew up without a father. And, like I said, that's why I put fatherlessness culture, because I feel like we're just in a culture. Like the black community is just a culture of fatherlessness. We think that we don't need fathers, that we don't need black men. And look at our culture. I mean, obviously we do. They talk about the statistics of single women and the statistics of the children raised by single women. And they in jail and selling drugs and doing
Right.
all these crimes, and they're dysregulated. They can't keep healthy relationships. They can't stay connected to people, things like that. Obviously, we need fathers. So I don't know. Did you have anything to say about that? I'm not really sure where I didn't want to go too deep into that because we're going to talk about black men and fatherhood. That's going to be a whole episode.
I'm going to say this. Yeah, this is going to have to be a whole other episode. But
Yeah.
we live in a time. Not even we live in a time. It's been forever that being raised without a father does a lot of damage to one's development.
Absolutely.
And I think we've kind of got away from the honor of having a father and what that means to the development just of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And we need men.
We need men so much.
And
Oh, man.
not just we need men, we need healthy men.
Healthy men.
We need healthy fathers. We need healthy men to raise our sons, to be there for our daughters. And without it, you see what happens. And of course, in the black culture, I think the reason we can always
This is a whole episode.
to
Oh,
slavery,
yeah.
Jim Crow, all that.
Yes.
It all plays a factor.
It does.
Because we've already seen throughout history what can happen when black people are not in competition with each other.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful thing. But
And we kind of like
when-
adopted that into our own families where we're like,
yeah,
okay, it's mother against father. Like, like how that people will talk about like on Mother's Day or on Father's Day. Like mothers, let fathers have their Father's Day. Don't get on here and talk about Happy Father's Day to me.
right.
Like why are we in competition? Why are we on opposite sides of the team? Like, or opposite sides. Like that's just.
And you got to stop competing.
Ooh,
It's not a competition. Get out of your emotions. If you are a man and you put your penis in that woman's vagina and y'all had a baby, man up and be that child's father. And if she is not going to let you do it, you better fight your way to be in that child's life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what the excuses are, but you chose to have that child.
Yeah. But I want to save that thought because we're
Yeah,
going to
but
talk
that's
about parenting and
That's a whole different episode.
ooh, when I say I had to heal from my own thoughts about fatherhood and just like what you just said, that's why I don't even want to respond to that because I want to wait. I want to
Yeah.
wait until we do the episode because whoo, it's so much to it. It's so much to it. Like I have a family member that's going through it, and when I say, like, I can almost understand a deadbeat. This is the extent to how painful this process can be. So I don't even want to get into that right now. We definitely gonna jump into all of that about fatherhood and woo Jesus. I have here friendships. Talking about friendships. How we already talked about relationships. Obviously that includes friendships. But then you have people who don't have friends. How do we feel about people who don't have friends? Are they do we stigmatize people who don't have friends? And do you think we should? Do you think that there's something wrong, or are they in a traumatic state
It,
because they don't have friends?
it goes back to you need people in your life. You're not going to make it through life not having friends. I don't even
Do
think
you
that's
feel a way, like if I told you, like, I don't have any friends, would you look at me like,
Yes,
okay,
because it's like,
how is that possible?
how are you functioning in life?
Okay,
Like, I can't. To me, that's a victim mentality.
to say I don't have friends.
Yes, because you mean to tell me nobody has proven to you that they are your friend or that they will be there for you? Nobody? Nah.
So I see a lot of clips with this topic, and it's mostly women. And I don't know if that's just my algorithm because I'm a woman. I don't know. But they'll talk about that. Like, I'm so sick of people saying that it's something wrong with somebody that don't have friends. Some of us just have post-traumatic stress disorder from bad friends. And it's like, I get it, but it kind of goes back to the love and energy episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the stuff that we talk about is just as relative to friendships as it is to romantic relationships. Like, attracting a good friend
Yes.
kind of is your
But
responsibility.
my thing is this. At the end of the day, and y'all always gonna hear me say it takes work. If that person means that much to you, and y'all been friends for years, and all of a sudden this thing happens, and you just like, well, forget it. Did y'all talk?
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all have a discussion?
Right.
Like, it's not that you either up and just left the friendship and cut it off, or you had a conversation. And if you never had a conversation and they are your true friend and y'all been friends for years, then your issue is not friendships. Your issue is conflict and how to resolve conflict.
Right. It's kind of like digging deeper.
Right.
Digging deeper into, it's instead of saying, well, I don't have friends because of this, well, ask yourself, why did that cause of this happen to you? Why did that this keep happening? Why is there a pattern? What can you notice about yourself that's contributing to this pattern of this happening to you? It's hard for me to go about life thinking that everything that happens to me has nothing at all to do with me. I mean, I think that's kind of naive to think.
It is.
So yes, I 100% agree with Dave as far as not having friends and it kind of looking bad. I mean, I hate to be that person. I don't want to make people feel like bad about themselves, but at the same time, you need friends. We just discussed this. You need validation from people. You need friendships. That is a part of how our brain regulates.
And
it's a biological thing. It's not.
Yes.
It's not a debate.
You are not put on this earth to do life alone.
So we talk about how coping is a stepping stone to. I feel like that's how I look at coping now. It's kind of a stepping stone to healing. It's not necessarily healing, but it could be a stepping stone to healing. And the definition I found of healing is the process of becoming healthy, which makes sense, right? I never even put the two words together, how they are relative words, healing and health. Never even thought about it like that.
Really?
Never thought about it like that. Healing and health, same thing. It's the same thing. So chasing health, same thing as healing.
Word.
Same word. Never. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you can be healthy without having to heal. Kinda, maybe not. I think that's what I was reading about too. That you kind of have to have this process of healing to be healthy. Like you have to go through something, I guess, to kind of find this health. Which is comforting too. Is realizing like, okay, I needed this. I needed this challenge to be this better person. So I just want to talk a little bit about what healing looks like. For me, is what I'm noticing is understanding my triggers or understanding things that trigger me. Like I was talking about earlier, distance and people wanting to be distant or people wanting to people wanting to be not fulfilling to me at a point of time, if that makes sense. So like say you were going through a time where you were fulfilling me and then now you're trying to fulfill yourself and you're not really trying to fulfill me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
that's a trigger for me because it's like, no, I want to keep fulfilling me. But obviously now thinking about it, it's understanding my triggers is what's gonna help me heal. Cause now, I think that's why we know that we need relationships. Cause relationships, friendships, good people in your life, they remind you of that. They cause these triggers to happen, and it gives you an opportunity to react to it better. You know what I'm saying? Instead of it being, in an unhealthy way or whatever. I have here analyzing decisions based on feelings derived from the decision. So we talked about how that's how you can get feelings from drinking and smoking, and now it's time to analyze why you need those feelings, why you're chasing those feelings. I don't know. Do you have anything to say about what I said so far about healing and what it looks like?
I think healing is an everyday choice. If you really want to be healed, you will stop running from it.
But you got to first understand that you're running.
But right. And also be aware enough to know what you need to be healed from. Because you know you're in pain. Now let's see, where the pain is coming from. And then after you know where the pain is coming from, what are the proper steps of healing? What does those steps look like?
Yeah.
Like, because it's the same way with your body. The same way you treat a headache isn't the same way you treat a leg sprain. Like, it's all different ways to the healing process.
Yeah.
But you have to be specific to what you need to heal from to know what steps to take.
Yeah, and that's good too, because our body always lets us know when we need to heal. So in a physical aspect, it could be a headache or a leg sprain or whatever. But that's what's so dope, I feel like, about what I've been studying about the trauma in the brain and all that, because it helps you understand the things that you're doing, your behaviors, and your default behaviors is a way of your body and your mentality telling you that you need to heal from something. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. This is real time me going through this. So a lot of this stuff, it means everything to me right now. So that just takes me to the last thing I want to talk about, the importance of vulnerability. I think how I used to look at vulnerability, I used to look at it like a bad thing. Letting people hurt you is how I looked at vulnerability. Not letting people hurt me is kind of how I go through life. So that's why I think I have an issue being vulnerable, because it's like, the vulnerability definition is susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm. And I look at that as like feeling bad about something. I have a problem with that. And I think because I feel like it expressed this type of weakness, and I think it goes back to this false reward, or this false narrative of a reward being strong and having this grit and having this this undeniable superpower strength. And I think that's been my state of mind probably my whole life. So being vulnerable was like, what is that? Like, I can't do that. Like, even in relationships or whatever, like, I don't allow myself to feel like someone is hurting me. Even if they are, I won't admit it to myself, if that makes sense. And I think in order to heal, you obviously have to do that, right? You cannot heal without vulnerability, I don't think.
No.
You have to be able to feel bad about something. You have to be honest that someone is hurting you. You have to be honest that you're hurt. You have to be honest.
How can a doctor know where you need to be healed unless you tell them where it hurts? Vulnerability is you being open in a safe place, letting the person either who hurt you or letting somebody know, hey, I am in pain.
Yeah.
this is what's causing my pain.
Yeah.
And if I don't take the healing process, I'm going to cause more damage.
Yeah.
And so I think when you, especially for a man, you should never weaponize his vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's hard enough for us to be vulnerable as it is,
Yeah.
because we have in society
This high standard
this
of
high
strength.
standard of strength has killed
The
our
pressure.
vulnerability. And so there's this fear of looking weak.
Yeah.
And I'm here to let y'all know now, I've been through enough in my 31 years of life. I'm gonna be real with you, and I'm gonna let you know if you hurt me,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you do not like it, I do not care,
Yeah.
because at this point, it ain't about you.
No. Not at all.
Especially if you're the one hurting me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just about to keep pushing me. You're not about to keep knocking me down. You're not about to keep being disrespectful, dishonest,
Yeah.
telling me one thing but doing another thing.
Yeah.
Nah, like, I'm going to keep it real with you. And if you choose to leave, you were never here for me anyway.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, like, for me, I always looked at vulnerability as like a bad thing when it's really like the opposite. Like, I feel like feeling bad about something, that it's not even just like you're talking about like somebody hurting you, but we hurt ourselves all the time. And a lot of times I think we give ourselves a pass for it, and we don't feel bad about the things we do to ourselves. And I think that vulnerability and feeling bad about the things we do to ourselves indicates the good person in you, because I feel bad that I made this mistake. I think that's the healthiest way to heal, is understanding like, okay, I did something wrong. I felt bad about that. That's a good person. I feel
Right.
like it's a bad person to not feel bad about things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's not whether you want to call it a bad person or whatever. I think it's really to not acknowledge that means if you don't feel bad, like you're trying to run from feeling negative things, you're just numb to the truth.
Yeah.
You're numb to
And don't we lie to ourselves so much?
you're numb to trying to feel that you hurt somebody else. And if that is you, you'll never be healed that way.
Yeah.
And you will never help the other person who you did hurt heal either.
And
Because now you're rejecting the truth.
yeah.
And it's gonna be it's gonna be so many times where you reject the truth to the other person. It's like, yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I wanted to, that's pretty much all I got, that where you just went to, is how this is so important, because not only does it help yourself, but now when you're in a situation with other people, this helps friendships. This helps your relationships. This type of understanding and the importance of vulnerability, all of that ties into building connections with people and sustaining healthy friendships and relationships, which is, what this is all about. So kind of wanted to end on that note, that this information that we talked about today, for me, was a game changer for myself and a game changer for being a future wife and mother, all relationships, all friendships. It really opened my mind up to having that understanding of people. Having that understanding about yourself gives you that better understanding of people. And yeah, I think that's the dopest part of all of this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's all I got.
Great conversation.
It's great conversation.
Great conversation. Next segment is called "Did That Really Happen?"
Please don't let it be nothing. Can we?
Where
simmer
we
down?
just talk about the things that happen in this interesting world that could be crazy.
Most of the time it is.
No, not could be. It is. All right.
Every
So-
time.
There was a woman who wrote an essay on how to murder a husband. This particular Wahite woman,
what kind of woman?
Wahite,
Okay, whatever that is.
white.
Oh, okay.
Um,
You know you gotta break things down for me, Lord.
Um,
White. Oh my
wrote
God.
an essay on how to murder a husband. Was sentenced to life in prison
What?
for murdering her husband.
I thought the topic ended there. The fact that she wrote an essay.
She
I
wrote
thought that was the whole
an essay.
story. No, she actually murdered her husband. Wow.
And she's okay. So here's what the article said. Unlike the antagonist in her steamy romance thrillers, author Nancy Crampton did not get away with murder. She's 71, was convicted May of last year. No. Yeah, convicted in May of second-degree murder in the death of her husband.
Real quick, did she write the essay before or after she killed him?
Before. I think before, maybe. Let me see. Wow. He was gunned down at the culinary school where he taught cooking classes. In court documents, prosecutors said the 63-year-old man was shot twice, once in the back, standing at a sink, blah, blah, blah. She testified she was better off financially with her husband alive, and the fact that her minivan was seen near the school was just a coincidence. People be lying, bro.
I'm done.
They told jurors that she followed her husband to work, shot him with a 9mm. They found 2 9mm shell casings at the scene. She had also bought a ghost gun. What is a ghost gun? Assembly kit that investigators later found at the storage facility. Ghost guns are unregistered and untraceable firearms. So there's your answer to that.
Okay.
So
she wrote all of this in her essay?
she published, in 2011. So this was before.
Okay.
She was plotting for a minute.
And wrote it down.
Because she didn't kill him until 7 years later. Because she wrote this in
scary.
essay in 2011. She published it in a notorious blog post titled How to Murder Your Husband. It was split into 2 sections, the pros and cons of killing a villainous husband. If the murderer is supposed to set me free, I certainly don't want to spend time in jail, she wrote. And let me say clearly for the record, I don't like jumpsuits, and orange isn't my color.
Whoa, sis.
She's crazy.
Sis,
what?
That is crazy. I don't even know what to say to that. What kind of dysregulation is going on in your head to not only murder your husband, but
that's crazy. The judge ruled
plot on it.
Right. The judge ruled that the essay would not be permitted as evidence because it was written years ago. That don't mean nothing.
Right.
But it turns out jurors didn't need to read it to reach their verdict. And it was like, no, you killed that man.
Right. The evidence was there, the physical evidence.
Right. You just wrote
the crime scene.
You just wrote the essay 7 years prior, which means you've been plotting this for a minute.
But you know what's stupid about it? Like, if I'm gonna be, I don't want to sound like a little psycho, but there is a little bit of psycho in me. I used to watch Snapped all the time. I stopped watching it.
Lord,
but
help
Snapped
me,
was
Jesus.
literally about women killing their husbands, like wives killing their husbands or killing their boyfriends. Like, yeah.
No, she did.
But my thing is, you did all that plotting, and that's what you came up with, shooting them. Like, you didn't do nothing creative came from that, like your plotting.
I just want to know. I wonder if she shared it with him. Like, did you read my essay today? I wonder if he was dumb enough to be like, yeah, it was really good too. Like, I think it'll do great as a murder mystery, sir.
It didn't even seem like a murder mystery.
You're the main character in her story.
That's
it would have
nuts.
been a red flag for me.
For sure.
I would have called the therapist.
How to kill your husband.
I would have called.
You have a whole husband.
I would have called the therapist.
And we ain't been getting along that well.
I would have called the therapist. Like, excuse me. I got questions.
God, I'm going to drop you off at this clinic. I will let you live your life.
You go.
Come
you
back
go.
When you're whole and
you
healed,
go be
please.
great. No, don't come back. Mm-mm. I'm gonna move on with my life. I'm
Marriage
good.
is about for better or worse. You took the vows.
And most people think divorce is not an option until it becomes one. So,
Oh God.
no,
Stay married to your psychopathic.
no,
For
absolutely
better
not.
or worse. That's what it say. That's
Mm-mm.
what it say. Maybe
Not-
we need to remove that from the
You
vows.
talking about? You want to talk about till death do us part? Not this early. No, thank you.
that part.
Not
so
this
death do
early.
us part, huh?
Mm-mm.
That's
You wanted that
nuts.
life insurance policy. That's what you wanted. You wanted that money.
Something.
Well, that's our show. We just want to be healthier people and stay away from crazy people who write murder novels about their spouse. But thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode. We love y'all. Can't wait to see y'all next week. We out of here. Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire.